If you've ever felt like growing your membership is harder than it should be, you're not alone. The truth is, most people are stuck spinning their wheels because they don't know the simple strategies that actually work. But today, that changes. In this behind the scenes session I shared with an amazing group of entrepreneurs in Carrie Green's community, I'm walking you through 10 ways to 10x your membership. And let me tell you, it is packed with proven strategies that work across any niche. From pricing hacks to creating irresistible experiences for your members, these tips can make a massive difference. Even small tweaks can snowball into big results over time. So grab a notepad and your favorite drink because these 10 ideas could completely change the way you approach your business. Let's dive in. Well, hello, my friend and friends of Carrie Green. Listen, great to be here talking to you today about 10 ways to 10x your membership. Here's what I want you to realize. We're gonna go through these 10 ways and they are very specific, obviously, to memberships, but great news is they can also be applied to virtually any kind of business that you have. Even if you're selling courses or coaching or a physical product, services, etc., you're gonna get great value from today. So let's dig into it. 10 ways to 10x your membership. Let's go. Okay, first thing to realize is the growth of your membership is dependent on 3 factors. Number 1, your ability to attract new members. Number 2, your ability to convert people who are interested into becoming paying members. And number 3, your ability to keep members happy and paying. Now, how do I know this? Back in 2008, I started my first software company, and we ended up serving over 70,000 membership site owners and community leaders. And with that, afterwards, I then took all that I learned, and I have since been sharing it with other business owners just like yourself, teaching best practices of how to launch, grow, and scale a highly profitable membership. We've had over 17,000 people go through our signature program called the Membership Experience. And now with my second software company, every single day we're serving thousands and thousands of membership site owners. So with that, we serve people in every kind of market you can think of, from photography and calligraphy to fitness and finance and music and art and health and dog training. We even have Holly George, who teaches people how to make balloon animals, for crying out loud. Her membership site is called the Twister Hood. Bottom line is that we see what works and we see what doesn't. And the truth of the matter is there are really 2 kinds of membership site owners. Ones with no strategy who launch and see their sales either taper off or plateau, or those who have a strategy and see a growth curve that looks like a staircase like you see on the screen here. So here's some examples. Here's Sarah Williams. She's grown not 1, but 2 multi-million-dollar memberships, and look at that growth curve, just like a staircase. Here's Scott Paley. He has a membership with over 5,000 nonprofit leaders. Very similar growth curve. Karen Cinnamon over in the UK has a membership for Jewish brides, launched a second membership site helping people with their Jewish lifestyle, and you can see her growth curve there. And here's Heidi Easley. She teaches people how to grow a paint party business with very similar growth curve. And here's Mariah, who's over in Germany, teaching people interior decorating, very similar. So we're gonna unpack these 10 ways to 10x your membership, and I want you to know they come from proven experience being in the membership world, having my own memberships, my own 6 and 7-figure memberships, which I still have to this day. So I live, eat, breathe this stuff, but every single day I'm serving thousands of membership site owners. And so what I'm gonna share with you absolutely is important and can and will 10x your membership. Okay, first lesson. Number 1, be specific and you'll grow faster. So what do I mean by this? Well, back in the day, I had a brand called My Idea Guy, and it looked a little something like this. And I was trying to help all people, all entrepreneurs, with all marketing. Like, it was very broad. In fact, I used to teach seminars on it. Look at this cute little fella back in the day. And yes, if I zoom in, that's me and my head on a top of a poster. Anyway, bottom line, growing this business was really hard because it felt like pushing a boulder up a hill. Nobody knew how to refer me. Nobody knew the value that I was bringing to the table. And therefore, it was really, really hard to get clients, customers, etc. Friend of mine and mentor, he suggested that I narrow my focus. At first, I was reluctant because I thought, well, if I narrow my focus, I'm going to narrow the people I can reach. And I don't know if there's enough people if I narrowed my focus to what he suggested. But I did, and my business took off. And so here's the lesson. Be specific, grow faster. You got to answer these 3 questions. Number 1, who specifically is your membership for? It shouldn't be for everybody. It should be for a very specific person. What specific problem are you solving? The more specific, the better and easier it is for people to understand the value you provide. And then the last question is the most important. How specifically will someone's life be better or different after joining your membership? If you can't answer that question, your market won't be able to either. And if they can't answer it, consciously or subconsciously, they're not going to join. So let's take a look at a specific example. Here's Bonnie Snowden, also in the UK, fabulous artist. But look at what she does. She's so specific. She teaches people how to draw realistic animals with colored pencils. She teaches people how to draw realistic animals with colored pencils. Like, talk about specific, right? Now, here's what's amazing. Take a look at her art. If you go and follow her on Instagram, you'll see it's beautiful. But this is an example of some of her reels that she posted. But one of my favorite reels that she posted was last year. She took a screenshot, or she took these pictures of herself and documenting her timeline. And you can see here, one of them was from 2021 when she launched her membership. It crossed $1 million 2 years later. $1 million 2 years later. Why? Because she was specific. She solves a specific problem. And so get specific and you'll grow faster. Number 2, nail the transformation. When we're talking about nailing the transformation, one of the exercises I highly recommend you do is brainstorming your messaging map. And what we're trying to do here is create contrast between your audience's now world and their future world. So what do I mean by that? Well, we want to paint a picture of what somebody is experiencing in their now world. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What are they doing? And what are the ripple effects of those thoughts, feelings, and actions in their life? And then we want to contrast that to the future world of what they would be thinking, feeling, and doing differently after experiencing your transformation. When you nail this transformation and communicate it clearly, people will naturally bridge the gap in understanding that they can go from their now world to their future world because of your membership. So let's take a look at an example. If our market was helping dads become great fathers and we were mapping out what they're thinking, feeling, and doing, we might put single words or short phrases like you see on the screen. New dad might feel overwhelmed. He might feel confused and frightened. He might be questioning whether he can do this and be a father. He might even be afraid to even hold the baby or touch the baby because he's afraid he might hurt it. And he might be thinking, I can't breastfeed, what good am I? He might be feeling guilty about that fact. And he might also have an increased feeling of, oh my gosh, I gotta protect and provide. And because of that, he might start working a lot more. Now, because he starts working more, it actually creates separation with his wife. And then there's the tension and pressure that the baby is just kind of taking over their lives. And he's not getting any sleep. Nobody's getting any sleep. Everyone's cranky, they're edgy. The relationship with his wife becomes tense. He almost starts to feel bitter towards the baby and avoids spending time with his family. We're just making a list of short words and phrases that help describe what this person is thinking, feeling, and doing. Now, if I were to contrast that on the other side, after being in a membership that helps new dads become great fathers, he might feel calm, clear. He might feel confident in his ability to be a great dad. He might find ways to work with his wife to be able to care for the baby, finding that healthy balance between work and family, really spending quality time together. So much so that the baby has actually brought them as a couple closer. It's deepened his relationship with his wife. And as the baby grows, he has a beautiful relationship with your child, one where the child loves you, and loves being with you. When they see you, when you come home from work, they come running with hugs. People compliment him all the time on his family. Do you see that contrast between those two worlds? When we can describe that transformation clearer than they even might be able to describe it themselves, it naturally is going to pull people into our membership. And then there's a key question that I want you to answer as well. When that transformation happens, what else will it make possible? What else will it make possible? Because if you speak to that, your conversions will skyrocket. Okay, number 3, sell the path, not the stuff. When I'm talking about selling the path and not the stuff, I'm talking about something that we refer to as a success path. And what we want people to realize in a membership is that progress happens over time. And so this is where a success path comes into play. Because the reality is most people, they want to go from where they are to where they want to be as quickly as possible. But most memberships are just full of a whole bunch of content. And as a result, the pressure and weight is on your member to figure out what are the few pieces of content that are relevant to them right now. And what I want to propose is that you instead do the thinking for your members and create the fastest path to success. So how do you do that? Well, you map out the transformation. And so it means that you're going to have a starting point and you're going to take it all the way to the final outcome. And then you're going to break that journey down into multiple stages. And in doing that, now it brings clarity and focus for people to know where they should put their energy. So what would it look like for, let's say, the guitar market? Well, maybe somebody just bought a guitar. And the final outcome is they want to be a campfire hero. You know, that person who is sitting around with their friends at the campfire and their friends can shout out a song and this person just knows how to play it right away. Well, here's the reality. Somebody's not going to go from just buying a guitar to becoming a campfire hero like that, right? It's going to take time. And so that's what we want to map out in these different stages. Now, here's an example for me in my market. I teach people how to grow a thriving membership. It could start with somebody who has no membership whatsoever and take them all the way to the final outcome of a thriving membership business. But the first stage for me is helping them build their audience. If you don't have an audience of 200 people or more, then it's going to be hard to launch a membership. But you don't need tens of thousands. You don't even need thousands of people, just a couple hundred people, right? But if somebody's starting from absolute scratch, I've got to help them do that first, right? That's job 1. Then we help them do their founding member launch. Then we help them build their second big primary launch. Then it's all about building the community and then growing the business. And so depending on where somebody is in that journey, I'm going to help channel their focus. I'm not going to talk about retention strategies in a membership if somebody doesn't even have a membership yet and or doesn't have an audience to launch a membership. Do you see where I'm going with this? So it helps bring clarity and focus in terms of where your members should put their attention right now based on their journey. Next one that I want to talk about, number 4, is using a price decoy. So if you've ever wondered about pricing, you're going to love this. What I'm referring to as a price decoy and why we want to use it is we want to control the framing of the price. And so here's an example of this in action. Back in the day, I read a book by Dan Ariely. It's called Predictably Irrational. And in chapter 2, he shared an example of the magazine, The Economist. Now, I'm going to come back to the slides and you're going to see the example had 2 options that people could choose from. Option 1 is they could choose the online subscription for $59, or they could choose the print subscription for $125. Now, between us girls right now, which one do you think most people chose? Just take a guess. Do you think it was the online subscription at $59 or the print subscription at $125? What do you think? Okay, well, here's the answer. 68% of people chose the online version at $59 and 32% of people chose the print subscription at $125. So this is where the experiment comes in, because then The Economist introduced a third option. Now, what's interesting about the third option when I show you is you might raise an eyebrow because you might be thinking, maybe they made a mistake. So let's take a look. So the first option is again online for $59. Second option is print only for $125. And then the third option is print and web for $125. And you might be saying, Stewie, wait a minute. Both those last 2 options are the exact same price. I know. One is a decoy. Watch what happens in terms of the percentage of people who chose each option. It's fascinating how psychology works. Before, most people selected the online option. Now only 16% of people chose that. 0% chose the print-only subscription, and 84% of people chose the print and web subscription. Just think about that for a second. Before, the majority of people were choosing $59 option. Now, the overwhelming majority of people are choosing $125 option. Fascinating, right? So the question becomes, how can you use this pricing contrast in your membership? Well, if you wanted to position your membership as a low price option, here's what you would do. Number one, you would contrast it to a much higher priced option that has similar value. So you can see in the pricing chart here, like it's almost the same value, but it's significantly more for option number 2. So most people are not gonna pick option number 2, they're gonna pick option number 1, but it frames the value much differently than if the only option was number 1. Because now it feels like a steal of a deal, right? Now, what if you wanted to go the opposite way? What if you wanted to position your price as a higher priced option? Well, then you would do the opposite. So the decoy in this case is option number 1 at $37, which is really a similar price to option number 2 at $47, but option number 2 has so much more value. Do you see how the framing of that feels totally different than if those options were only presented by themselves? It's because of the contrast of that price. And one is used as a decoy to be able to make the other seem tremendously valuable. Moving on. Number 5, break down the price. What do I mean by that? Well, we're staying on the whole pricing thing because I want your membership to feel like a no-brainer for your audience. So the way you do that is you got to break down the price. It's not $30 a month. It's less than $1 a day. Do you see how that just feels completely different? My wife and I, we do this in a book membership that we have. It's called, you can find it at bookmembership.com. The way we position it is not $20 a month, it's less than 67 cents a day. Doesn't that just feel like a steal of a deal? Especially, for our market, we've set up this membership site for people who really have good intentions of reading, but just never get around to actually reading the books. Instead of this book membership being a book membership where we just plow through a ton of books, we just pick 6 to 8 high value books a year. And then we go deep on those and we have discussions about them. We bring the authors in. These are authors that have sold millions of copies of their books, and we mastermind with the authors. And that, when we frame it up from a pricing standpoint at less than 67 cents a day, feels like a steal of a deal. Here's another way to do it. So every year I teach my signature program, the membership experience. It's not $2,497. It's 7 members at $30 a month. If all I do during the course of the program is give somebody one idea to welcome 7 members into their membership at $30 a month, then this program pays for itself over the course of a year. Do you see how that feels totally different? And do you see how doable that is? That's why my program is a steal of a deal for people, because of the compounding nature of what I'm teaching with memberships. And that's 7 members at $30 a month, not every month, just one time. If all they did was get 7 new members at $30 a month, then my program's paid for itself. And so because I've broken the price down, it feels like a steal of a deal, and it is. That's why there's so much value there. Same is true for you and your membership. Break the price down and people will see the value in what you're providing in a totally different way. Okay, number 6, less work, more money. I know this is counterintuitive, but the number one reason that people cancel from any membership is overwhelm. And we see this time and time again. A good example of this is Jamie Bright. She used to have a photography membership. And in that photography membership, she talked about everything about growing a photography business. From SEO to blogging to ads to all the social media platforms, you name it, she talked about it. And it was exhausting, not only for her members, but it was exhausting for her. And so what she realized was that her members weren't really making the kind of progress that she was hoping for. So she revamped the positioning of that membership. And the new way is she focused on delivering 1 strategy a month to attract 1 new recurring client per month. One strategy a month to attract one new recurring client per month. Do you see how light that feels? Do you see how easy that feels to implement? Well, here's what happened. It was light and easy for her members, and so they consumed more of the content and they implemented more of the content, and therefore they got better results with the content. That is amazing. But secondly, it was also a heck of a lot easier for Jamie, because instead of her having to teach all the things, she only had to teach one strategy a month. So this comes down to, less work, more money. Oftentimes we think the value comes from just loading people up with a ton of content. It doesn't. What we want to do is we want to focus on the few things that are going to make the biggest difference for people, and then we want to hold space for them to be able to implement and get supported in that implementation. Next lesson, number 7, one lesson, many formats. What I'm referring to this, best example is a Tony Robbins membership that I belonged to for many years. This membership sent out DVDs of these trainings every single month. And if he only provided the DVDs, I would have canceled, because I'm not somebody who will sit down and put on a DVD and watch it up on my TV, so to speak. But instead, he also provided the content in a CD format and workbook. And here's why that's important. Because I don't do my learning in front of the TV. I do my learning in the car. When I was part of this membership, I was driving over an hour to soccer to play a game and over an hour back every single week. So that 2-hour round trip drive was when I would do all my learning. And because the same content was also on a CD, boom, I'd put it on and I'd listen to it as I drove. And so if he only provided the content in DVDs, I would have canceled. But because the content was also in CDs, that was a format that I enjoyed consuming, I stayed. And the point is, we all have the ability to take the content we're providing and provide it in multiple formats. And when we do, we appeal to so many more people. When you have your content in multiple formats, you're gonna see more success. Okay, number 8. Tailor-made content. When I'm talking about tailor-made content, I'm talking about creating an experience that is customized for each user. The question that I really want you pondering is, why do we treat every member the same? Because you and I both know that all members who come into our membership, they're not the same, right? Like, we don't have everybody at the exact same position in their journey, right? Like, we don't have, everybody's not all beginners. We may have some beginners. We may have some people who are more advanced. We may have some people in between, right? Everybody's got different experience. So why do we treat everybody the same? And let me just show you how absurd this is. I want you to meet Ben. He's a beginner. Say hi to Ben. Now, think about this. How do you think Ben would feel being a beginner if he logs into your membership and he sees advanced lessons? How do you think he would feel? He's probably gonna feel overwhelmed. He's probably gonna feel intimidated. He's probably gonna feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do this. And these seeds of doubt are gonna be planted in his mind, right? Now, similarly, let's flip to the other side. This is Adam. Say hi to Adam. Now, he's much more advanced, okay? He's on the other end. How do you think he's gonna feel if he logs into the membership and he sees beginner lessons? Well, he's probably gonna feel like, oh my gosh, this is not for me. Like, I am way past this point. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get any value from this. And so what we really wanna do is we really wanna provide a more personalized content experience for everybody, where Ben the beginner comes in and sees beginner lessons, Adam the advanced comes in and sees advanced lessons. Wouldn't it be amazing if you could display unique content for each person based on where they're at? And the question then becomes, well, yes, that would be amazing, but how do we solve this for our clients? I just gotta admit, I'm incredibly biased in the solution that I'm about to tell you. I'm gonna recommend Searchy because that is the platform that we created, but we created it to solve these kinds of problems for people like us who are creating memberships. So here's how this kind of works. In your Searchy hub, you're gonna upload all of your content and you're gonna tag it accordingly. So this comes back to our success path that we talked about earlier. You may have different stages of that path and you may categorize your content based on those stages. Then, when people log into your membership for the first time, you're gonna survey them and ask them a few questions. And based on that, we are going to identify where are they in that journey. And so once we've identified where they are, then we can apply tags to that person and display the content that is relevant to them. Doesn't that just immediately change the experience? Where the membership feels like it was made for them. And it is. You're catering the content for your members. Big difference between that experience and a one-size-fits-all experience where everybody is treated the same. Number 9, close your doors. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but what I'm gonna suggest is you actually don't let people in. And when you do that, people will want in. And I'm gonna give you an example of this. Here's Allie Kay, and she has a membership teaching people, specifically women, how to paint. And she had an open marketing model, and she had done really well. Over a 2-year period, had welcomed 1,400 members. Like, that's pretty stinking good for an open marketing model. But she heard me talking about closing the doors, and she really wanted to grow her membership. And to her credit, she was open to the suggestion of closing the doors. Even though it scared her a little bit, she had the courage to move forward with it. And so check out what happened the moment that she did. With a closed model, she welcomed more than 3,000 new members in a single week. It had taken her 2 years to get to 1,400 members, and in 1 week, she welcomed more than 3,000. And she was keeping us posted in the community as she was going. You can see here, she said, yesterday was the first day of launch, and I've already crossed my goal for the entire launch. Then the next post was, gulp, we just passed 3,000 members. I cannot believe this. My cart doesn't close until Tuesday. And then she's like, I don't even know what has happened. She said, we just crossed 4,000 members today, and the doors don't even close until tonight. She said, y'all, I had 400 members 1 year ago. Here's the key to this. You've got to give your audience a reason to join your membership site today. If you don't give them a reason to join your membership today, you know what will happen? They're gonna say, ooh, this is nice. I'm gonna save this for later. And then later never comes. You've got to give your audience a reason to join today. That's why closing your doors is one of the most compelling reasons. Because when your doors are closed and you do open them a few times a year, people know that, oh my gosh, I better get in during this time. Otherwise, I won't be able to get in at all. And this, in fact, years ago, when Carrie came to Toronto for a one-on-one VIP day, this was one of the things that we focused on. And during that year, she grew her membership from hovering at around 1,000 members to tripling it to more than 3,000 members in a single year because of this one strategy. And by the way, can we just take a minute and acknowledge Carrie? She is incredible, isn't she? Having a membership site that's been around for more than 10 plus years, that is unbelievable. It's unprecedented. When you are inside of FEA, I just want you to just send Carrie a message, send her team a message, just let them know how amazing they are, because this is an incredible membership that has stood the test of time because they care and they show up and they serve you at the highest level. Okay, so speaking of which, speaking of serving your people at the highest level, the final tip that I want to share with you today, right away, I know it's going to make you squirm, and that is to make yourself available 24/7. And I know what you're probably thinking. You Stewie, like I'm not getting into this business to make myself available 24/7. Like, I have a life, I have a family that I want to spend time with. Like, I don't want to be chained to my computer or my phone. Well, hang with me one tiny second. Let's talk about this. Because what I'm talking about is creating a digital version of you that is available 24/7. Because the fact of the matter is your members want instant results. They don't want to have to wait for you to answer them during the next Q&A or the next live call, or even until somebody posts in the community after they ask a question. They want answers, and they want answers now. And so we started to think on this. How can we leverage the thousands of hours of content that we have created over the years? It's just collecting digital dust. Like, imagine if we could use all of that content, our entire library, and then create almost like a personal chat GPT-like experience. In other words, imagine if people could type in a question and then it go through the thousands of hours of your video, your audio, and your text and piece together a customized, personalized answer based on all of that content. This is the 24/7 digital version of you that we're talking about. And again, I'm biased because we created a solution to enable you to do that. And essentially what happens is that it provides a comprehensive text-based answer based on all of your content in your voice and style that's also available in hundreds of languages, imagine that, and compatible with any platform. So even if you are using another membership platform, you can still use this, where people come and they ask a question. It then goes through your library of answers and says, ooh, this is relevant, ooh, that is relevant, and it pieces it together in a response, and it gives people references to where that came from. So if they click on it, it'll take them to the exact moment in the video or audio where you were saying that very thing. Now, here's how this is being used. It's being used internally for customer support. So, for example, during a launch, you may not be able to answer every question. Well, people could just ask your wisdom the question and get responses back. Or you could have your team be able to ask it questions and be able to copy paste the answers back to your customers accordingly. That's how we use it during a launch. It could also be used on demand in digital or mobile programs. So like in your courses and coaching programs, memberships, where people have questions, they can get instant answers coming from you based on your content. This isn't, by the way, based on ChatGPT where we have no idea where the content is coming from. This is based on you and your library content. So the more content you got, the more valuable these responses become. And this is super valuable for people because they can get instant answers to their questions. Then it's also used for lead generation purposes. I'm gonna show you an example of this in just a minute. And if you got a podcast or a YouTube channel, you're gonna love this. And it's also being used for licensing, where people are licensing their content to others in their memberships or in their communities. So let's talk about some of these real quick. So when I talk about leveraging internally for customer support, pretty straightforward. You create a library of your content for your team, and then when questions get asked, they can quickly ask those questions and be able to copy paste those back to the clients and customers. You can use it on demand inside your digital programs, where again, people can ask questions and boom, they get instant answers with references to the videos in your membership course or what have you, where those answers came from. Number 3, for lead generation, imagine this, you're on a podcast, and at the end of the podcast, you say, hey, thanks for listening to this episode. If you got questions on anything that we talked about during this episode, or heck, anything we've ever talked about during this podcast ever, just go to askcarrie.com. They go there, they ask a question, put in their name and email, and then they get the answer or response. We have people who are generating hundreds, thousands of leads from every episode or from every video they release on YouTube. YouTube videos the same way. You would just say, hey, you got a question about this video? Just go to askcarrie.com, put in your question, your name and email, and boom, you'll get an instant answer from me right away. Super powerful way to build your list. And then lastly, using it to license your content to others. So if somebody wants to use your frameworks or material, perhaps in their own membership or in their own coaching program, they can license that library so they can have you available to their members on demand, and they would pay an annual licensing fee for that. Pretty cool, right? All right, so we've talked about 10 ways to 10x your membership. Number 1, be specific, grow faster. Number 2, nail the transformation. Number 3, sell the path, not the stuff. Number 4, use a price decoy. Number 5, break down the price. Number 6, less work, more money. Number 7, one lesson, many formats. Number 8, tailor-made content. Number 9, close your doors. And number 10, make yourself available 24/7. You can always find me online. My website is stu.me, probably the easiest website to remember. But I hang out most on Instagram, and you can see my handle there. It's my name, Stu McLaren. I just want to take a moment and just thank you for watching this. I want to encourage you with your membership because, small changes can make a big difference, and especially with a membership because of the compounding nature of memberships. And lastly, I just want to take a moment and I just want to thank Carrie. She's been a dear friend now for almost 10 years, which is insane. I love and adore her, and I love the way in which she shows up for you and her community. And what I want you to realize is that she gushes about you and cares and obsesses about you and this community when she's not on camera, when she's at home, when she's away from family. She's always thinking about you and this community. And it's a big reason that she has stood the test of time and why this membership has been around for over 10 years. So just take a moment, let her know how awesome she is, because she is awesome. All right, my friends, have yourselves a great day, and make sure, just take one of these ideas.
put it into practice, and you'll see big results. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Small changes can lead to big results, especially in memberships. Just one of those ideas can make a massive difference if you take action. So here's what I suggest. Pick just one idea that resonated with you most and put it into practice today. And if you're ready to go even deeper, check out this next video that shares the simple 3-step formula to grow and scale a successful online business. It's the perfect next step to take your membership to a whole new level. Let's keep building together.